Right, welcome to, I was going to say sunny, but I can see a little patch of sunlight behind me. Welcome to a wet and windy Stirling. Yeah, I didn't plan for rain and wind and much moistness, but hey, what'd you get? You're in Scotland, it happens. So what we're going to do today is we are looking at Stirling Castle from the outside, and then we're going to have a look at Stirling Old Town. We're just going to have a little wander around, look at some of the buildings, hear some of the stories and things like that. If you want to see Stirling Castle on the inside, I have an As Live tour on. If you go onto my page, you'll see where all my tours are and you'll be able to join that one. So you'll be able to see the inside of the castle as well. Now, if you're new to HeyGo, there's a little bit of housekeeping I'm going to do. You have your chat facility there where you can put in little comments. It shows you when people have joined, that kind of thing. If you don't want to see it, you can actually close it down. If you want to put a question in, you just type it in, press send, and it will come into the chat. Now, at the moment, I can see 4 boxes, and they all say Hilary has joined, David's joined, and that kind of thing. So I've got 4 boxes. If somebody puts a question there, I might only have 1. So they can move very, very quickly, especially when lots of people ask questions at the same time. If you are on a tour and you ask a guide a question and they don't answer it, it's not that they are ignoring you. If you ask it again and they still don't answer it, they are not ignoring you. They haven't seen the question. Okay, because the chat moves that fast. Plus there's a delay on it, so you ask the question and a few seconds later, or a wee bit longer, it'll come through at my end. So there's multiple reasons why guides don't answer questions, okay? None of us are here to ignore you. We don't want to annoy people. The whole point is to make money. And if we ignore you, then you're not going to give us anything. So just bear that in mind. The other thing is, if guides don't mention you by name when you join the tour or you ask a question, I very rarely use names because I'm severely dyslexic, so I have to be very careful when I'm saying names. Has to be ones I recognise. Because I don't want to offend anyone by mispronouncing their name. So don't think that, again, you're not appreciated, especially if you put a tip in, it comes up on the screen and the guide doesn't say thank you. Again, it's not because you're not appreciated, it's because there's too much going on in the chat for the guide to actually say it, and sometimes we don't see that part at all. So yeah, just bear that in mind, because we're all here to have a good time. Now, if you want to take postcards, there's a round button in the middle. You just press that, and there's a little timer next to it, a counter rather, and it'll show you how many postcards you've taken. Then you can find them in your dashboard at the end of the tour. There's the tip button flashing away at the corner, bottom left I think it is. You can tip the guides on the tour, or you can tip them at the end of the tour. And remember, if you can't tip them, you can always follow them, or you can, because that shows your support as well, and then you have the option to sponsor. So I think we've done enough of the housekeeping now, and look, we can see. What was it, 5 minutes ago we couldn't actually see anything here. Just sort of to get your bearings, what we're looking at, I'm just going to zoom in one. We're looking at the Wallace Monument in the Abbey Craig. So that teardrop shaped hill you're looking at, the dark one in the centre there, so that's the Abbey Craig. Then you've got this spiky monument, needle-shaped monument. That is the Wallace Monument. Now, the Wallace Monument was a Victorian sort of revival, romanticism happened, and this is to William Wallace. It's actually a brilliant monument. You've got lots of, was it 246 steps to get to the top, which is an open crown basket, and you get fantastic views all the way around. And it's up there because it's looking down on where the Battle of Stirling Bridge took place. Now, if you look at the monument and then go straight down, where you can see the river and things, you can just make out the bridge. There's a stone bridge there. This replaced the older bridge. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because it's to kind of get the idea of why Stirling is so important. You can see the River Forth meandering here. There's lots of bends and curves in this river. This area is quite flat, and it heads down past Edinburgh and out into the North Sea. So the first crossing point for this river up until, well, yeah, it was basically the first place you could cross the river by foot on a bridge. Everywhere else downstream you had to use a boat. people going on pilgrimage to St Andrews would come in at Leith, and then they would have to go past Edinburgh, up to Stirling, cross this river, then go back down and across to St Andrews, which was the largest religious settlement in Scotland. So it was a very important place. Plus, the other thing about this is the hills you can see just behind the Abbey Craig there. That's the Highland boundary fault. So this is marking the division between the Highlands and the Lowlands geologically. So there's a fault line running straight along there. So that's where you get this lift, and you've got the hills, and then the flat area going off to the right. That's all sort of, there's a stretching out that's taking place. So everything kind of millions of years ago crashed together, and then there's this rebound that gives us this lovely flattish area. Anything you see above the ground here is volcanic in origin. So the Abbey Craig's volcanic, the Castle Rock's volcanic, everything that's sticking up above the ground, because we had an ice age about, 10 million years ago, and it was moving west to east at this point, so it scraped away a lot of the loose soil and softer stones and left behind all the volcanic igneous rocks, and that's why we've kind of got what we're looking at now. Right, so oh dearie me, sorry, the chat went all weird there on me. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn you around, hoping gimbal is going to be a nice gimbal. You've lost the signal. Is everyone okay? Right, as long as everybody's yeah, you're all okay, right, it's fine. Now, Stirling, actually, you know what I've done? I've left it zoomed. That's there, that's better. Okay, so we're looking at the outside of Stirling Castle. Stirling Castle, sort of Stirling, place of strife is where we think the name kind of came from. Okay. Now the population's about 60,000. It became a city in 2002, but it's been a royal borough for a very, very long time. In 1507, John Damien tried to fly from the walls of Stirling Castle. Luckily, oh, there's the wind. Luckily, he landed on a dung pile, so he managed to escape with only a broken arm. Yeah, a broken leg, I think it was actually. So yes. Now, Stirling Castle itself peaked importance in the... Oh, is somebody having a problem? Right, I'll just stand still for a second. If you're on the app and you've got sound and a blurry image, come right out of the app and go back in, because that's been happening to me a lot. Now, Stirling Castle, like I say, peaked importance in the 1500s. There's been a just like Edinburgh Castle, they're both on volcanic plugs, and they've had people living on them for thousands of years because they're easy to defend from this side. Now, yeah. So Stirling Castle is here basically to guard the lowest crossing of the River Forth back in the day, and whoever controls Stirling Castle controlled communication between north and south of Scotland, so the Highlands and the Lowlands. So strategically it was a really important place, and you also know that because there's so many battlefields near or around here. We've got Falkirk, we've got Stirling Bridge, we've got Bannockburn, so you have all these different battle sites. I'm just going to show you over here because we have a dry ditch, a dry moat, just while we can, because the wind seems to have stopped, so I might take my hood down. I can hear better. There we go. There. So you have this dry moat. Very, very common for castles to have these, because if you fall in, you can't get back out. Oh, and you can't really say when is a castle built, because they're built over various periods, and like I say, there's been something on this site since ancient times, so at least a couple of thousand years. So yeah. So here you can see, I mean, we've got a lot of, what we've got is, I think we've got 1300s, 14, 15, 1600s going on. We've got a fake portcullis just in front of us, because you can see there's flagpoles above it, so there isn't actually a portcullis there. I'm not going to get in, I don't think, but I'll just have a wee peek, just while we're hearing the gates open. But this is just to let you see. Now, if you fall into that, you know, you're kind of stuck. So that a lot of castles had these, and then I'm standing on the wooden part of the bridge, which could easily be dismantled and taken down. Right, I think that's as far as I'm going to get you. Okay, right. I'll just let you see down to the other side there. Yeah. Now the figure with the rifle there, that's the a war memorial. But I'm just going to bring you over here because I love this lamp. Look at that sunset and that lamp, isn't that gorgeous? And then if we come sideways a bit, you've got the lamp and you've got Robert the Bruce's statue there. I'll just take you over to him in a second. You've got the Abbey Craig and you've got the Ochils in the background, part of the Highland boundary fault. Yeah, Stirling Castle, if you do get the chance to come, there's an awful lot to see inside. I prefer the way Stirling Castle's done to the way Edinburgh's done. Yeah, I'm just taking you over to that statue. I'm getting there honest. Yeah, so this is a statue of Robert the Bruce, King Robert the Bruce, and the way he's looking, he is looking towards Bannockburn. Now, Bannockburn was the decisive sort of battle in the Wars of Independence. It didn't stop all the strife in one go, but it certainly put the point across. And eventually, later, in sort of the 1320s, at that point, then we finally get some sort of truce going on, peace. And eventually Edward II acknowledged that he was King of Scotland and that we were an independent country. So I'm just going to turn around and let you see. There we go. So this is the statue of Robert the Bruce looking towards Bannockburn, and I will be putting a tour on. I did the little test tour today with my sponsors, and apart from the wind, I think everybody seemed to think it would work. Now, the Battle of Bannockburn, like I say, was a crucial battle in Scottish history, and it was actually a 2-day battle, so it was from the 23rd and the 24th of June 1314. Now, when it comes to numbers and battles and things, the English was supposedly had 2,000 cavalry and 16,000 foot soldiers, whereas Bruce's army, the Scots, had 5,000 horsemen and 6,000 foot soldiers. So quite outnumbered, but the good thing about it was the Scots knew the land, he picked the area well. It's just like when Wallace won the Battle of Stirling Bridge. He picked that position well because the bridge cancelled the English numbers out, because they could only come two abreast over the bridge, and so the Scots were at the other side and just wiped them out as they came over. Slightly oversimplifying there, but you get the gist. Now the castle itself, you've got you've got a military museum up there, and you can get into the Great Hall. Now the Great Hall is actually that building there with the sort of, it's not looking its greatest today because the weather's dull. You see that kind of almost orangey yellow? That's the Great Hall. It was the largest indoor space built in Scotland at the time, and that is telling you a story about the castle. That's the Scottish Stuart monarchy going, look at me, I am the equals to any king in Europe. You know, they were making sure when somebody approached this castle that they were going to be in awe and almost a little bit scared of it, you know, because it was so intimidating. And it was designed to be seen for miles. There's been changes, like the bit at the front here, this has been added later, so and the forework in the middle has been truncated, and we've lost quite a lot of it. But you can imagine if you didn't know what you were coming to, and then you were confronted with such a spectacular building, it would really kind of shock you a little bit. So yes, so I am doing an as live inside Stirling Castle. So if you'll be able to see that if you go onto my page. Now, Stirling itself, a lot of people when they visit the castle, they don't actually give the Old Town any kind of time at all, and it's such a shame because there's so much to see here. Now we're going to cut across the esplanade. There is a little bit where the signal will go ropey, but yeah, don't worry about it, just ignore it. Now at the heart of the castle you've got the inner close, which is like Crown Square if you've been to Edinburgh Castle. You've got King James's old buildings, and they were built in 1496, just to give you an idea. There are some really old buildings there. Now, in the middle of the screen we can just see the palace now, just above where the flagpoles are behind it, that building, that's the palace block. I'm going to try and zoom in, but I don't think I'm going to get you detailed enough. But you can see there's lots of carving on the outside of that, lots of detail there. So that's the palace block, and again that was built to impress. You know, that was look at me, I am your equal. That was built in 1540. The Chapel Royal was built in 1594. You've got the outer close, the Great Kitchen. I think the Great Kitchen dates to the 1500s. Now the oldest part of the castle is actually the Nether Bailey. It's the lowest part of the castle rock. No, it's not the Nether Bailey, it's the gate as you go out. But anyway, there's powder magazines that date from the 1800s. So there's all sorts, castles are always changing. A lot of the time when we took a castle back from the English, we knocked it down so it couldn't be held against us. So a lot of castles date from the Wars of Independence, but the footprint of the castle is much, much older. But the good thing is, because we tend to build in stone, everything lasts quite well. Now, just ahead of us, we've got a lovely cemetery just down here. Basically, when the Bruce took the castle back from the English in the end, he actually levelled it so that it couldn't be held against us, and it was rebuilt in the 1300s, and then it was captured again, and all sorts of things. Mary Queen of Scots had her son James VI baptised here, and at the end of the baptism the celebration was fireworks. Now here we're looking at the cemetery, and that outcrop of rock, there's actually somebody sitting on a bench there. That's a little outlook. You can go and stand on there. You see the castle, you see the hunting grounds, what were the hunting grounds in front of us. So all the way over, that's all hunting grounds originally. No, the English were just the same as everywhere else in Europe at the same time, It's just, you want to get as much as you can, you want to take as much as you can, and I mean, the whole of Europe's full of the same shenanigans, so it's, I like the English, I just couldn't eat a whole one. I'm joking. But no, it's just the way it is, when you've got neighbours. So, but I mean, the Scots and the English, there is a difference, or there was definitely difference in the makeup of the countries and the people, just because it was different waves coming in at different places. So we've got more of a Celtic nation type thing going on, whereas the English have got a more European sort of French and Norman type thing going on. Plus England's huge, and it's got lots of areas that had their own languages and things like that as well. So it's never just as simple as the English against the Scots. There's always a little bit of mixing going on there. So this is a beautiful cemetery, absolutely gorgeous. It is a pyramid. And I have gone completely blank as to who the pyramid is to, but there are quotes all the way around the pyramid. There's open Bibles there, so there's little quote going around it. Yeah, it's such a shame it's so windy, but look at that. You've got the reflection of the orange cloud in the pond. So if I move it up, you'll see the cloud just here. Isn't that gorgeous? So there's some really old gravestones in here, going right up into the sort of the Georgian period. There's quite a mix. There's quite a nice mix. Oh, just about stood in a dog poo. Do you know what always amazes me? Why do people bag dogs poo up and then leave the bag on the ground? What is the point? Yes, it is. It's a lovely place to relax. Sometimes, if you've got people that are quite independent and they want to do the castle on their own, it's a nice place to just go and sit and chill. So we're just coming to the end of the Esplanade. I'm just going to turn it around and let you see from here. I was hoping the coaches would have gone away by now, but they haven't. But anyway, so you can see that we've got the Great Hall. You've got the Palace Block. Behind the Palace Block is the King's Old Building from the 1490s. And then beyond the Great Hall is, on the right side, is where you'll find the kitchen. So kind of past that little low building next to the Great Hall. So it's a fairly substantial castle, Stirling Castle. And what's nice about it is it has the wall walk. You can go and you can walk around the wall walk. You can go into the Nether Bailey, the low part of the castle at the back. There's gardens. The Queen Anne Garden is absolutely beautiful in the summer. So It's one of my favourites around this area. To be fair, I prefer it to Edinburgh, but don't tell anyone that because I'll get in trouble because I'm from Edinburgh. Oh dear. Right, is everybody okay signal wise? It's looking okay at my end. I just want to make sure I've not lost anyone. You're all fine. Excellent. So just here, this building, the Portcullis, it used to be, well, there was a grammar school here. It's now a restaurant with a lounge bar, and I think it did have accommodation at one point, going back in time. Now, I love the signs. I love these signs. A lot of places have modernised them, but I quite like the old-fashioned ones, where you've got Mars Work, Argyle's Lodging, Old Town. Then if you come round, the castle. Now, I'm going to concentrate coming down these stairs because they're a bit of a death trap. And I've got my new glasses on, so I'm not quite sure where everything is yet. Now, the nice thing about Stirling is there are parts of the old city walls still intact. You can still see them, depending what way you're coming up to the castle. As well, it's quite nice. So, yeah, Rood means cross. It can be R-O-O-D or R-U-D-E. Spelling was quite loose back in the day. So here we've got the entrance to the Portcullis, like I was saying. So it's like kind of pub food type thing. It's quite nice. I mean, it's quite pretty inside. I don't know if well, we'll go in and see if the signal holds for us. Here we are. So you have this lovely little seating area, and then just round the corner is where the entrance is to get into the bar. Oh, was the castle closed when you got here? That's strange. Was it a special event or something? Have you been to the Portcullis? I've not actually eaten there for about 10 years. So like I was saying, it was a grammar school, and the other thing I love about Stirling is the way that they do these signs. I think they're really cool. So the old grammar school, and the school was for a classical education, and it was the better off boys in the town, and it was erected in 1787, and it flourished under Dr. David Doig. Isn't that brilliant? I really like their signs. Yeah, I think they've done it quite well. Some places they're not as pretty. Now, just ahead of us, this is Argyle Lodging, and this is one of Scotland's most complete examples of a 17th century townhouse. It's got a beautiful Renaissance facade, and the interior of the building's actually really beautifully painted. I'm just going to see, let me see what pictures I've got here. Did I put the one in? I didn't put the interior in, but I did put some pictures of inside the castle. So I'm going to just pop that in for you so that you can see what the inside of the castle looked like if you aren't going to be able to make it to my other tour. Right, so Argyle Lodging didn't start off this big. It's been through some changes in its history, changed hands. I was hoping, sorry, I saw the gate was open, but it's got its wee lock on it, so I'll not be able to get in. It was just to let you see the little bit of garden from that side, because it's quite pretty. Right, now here we've got a sign for the interior of Argyle Lodging, just to let you see. When it became Argyle's Lodging, this is a statement piece. Look, they've used purple dye. They've got purple wall hangings. Purple was the most expensive dye at that point. Sorry, it's not me wobbling, it's the wind catching the gimbal. It'll be on my page, my guide page. So it's HeyGo.com/Sam. It'll be on there. Now, the Stirling suites were added, actually I'm jumping the gun, we'll go back to the beginning. The oldest part of the Argyle Lodging was actually built in the mid-1500s, and it was built by John Trail, and he was a wealthy burgess of the town, and it was a two-storey dwelling, and he expanded it into an L shape. That was a fairly common thing to happen. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of scaffolding up here, So that's just showing you some of the interiors with the tapestry. You've got the dining table set up, you've got a bit of the facade, you've also got a little bit of the detail there. And this is quite an impression, quite good from a sort of an artist's impression from slightly above. Now, if you just bear with me a second, I am going to try and stick you through so you can see. Right, if I get you through here, right, and I'll zoom it in a little bit so you can see some of the detail. The signal's gone back up to 3, so that's fine. So the Stirling Suites were added when the house was passed to Sir William Alexander. He was the first Earl of Stirling and later Lord Stirling. Expecting a visit from Charles I, he created a private palace with a fine suite of public and private rooms, plus a lavish interior that was reflecting his wealth. He was trying to show people how, it's all about the bling. Look at me, I can afford all this. And if you look at the details above the windows there, you can see that's a lot of carving. That is a lot of money being spent there. Yes, now, he put this beautiful exterior on as well, and this was basically reflecting his ambitious sort of political career. He was trying to climb up the political ladder, but unfortunately he died in 1640, and he was insolvent when he died. He'd run out of money. I'm trying to just see if you can see just the detail with around the windows here. It's beautiful. Even they've been carved. I just wish we could get a close-up, but unfortunately they're doing some work. It's had quite a few problems with all sorts of dry rot, leaking roof, that kind of thing. Right, I'm just going to let this signal catch up with us there. Okay, I think we're all right. The house stood empty until the 1660s, and that's when the 9th Earl of Argyle bought it. His lowland castle was Castle Campbell, okay, but by that point fashions have changed, and it was out of the way. He wanted to be closer to, what was going on, old castles that old are kind of, windy and cumbersome and take a lot looking after and heating up. So, yeah, fashions change. That's a beautiful picture, people. Sorry. Right, I'm going to have to come off the road now and get back onto the pavement. I hear a car. Now, just as I was talking about Argyle Lodging, I'll come on to Mars Work in a second. Can you see this? Look at that beautiful rose and leaf design. It goes all the way up, and then we have the crown and the pediment here with, in fact, I'll show you this one. It's actually in better condition. That one there, you've got the crown with the hog's head. Oh, so a beautiful building, and I'm just going to quickly cross over so you can kind of see it from here as well. I mean, this is a statement piece. There's nothing subtle about this. And to be honest, the closer you can build your house to the castle, the closer you're going, look at me, I'm right next to the castle. Slightly dangerous if there's any kind of trouble, but still, you're going, look at me, I'm this important. That's how I'm close to the castle, So, anyway. Now, Argyle extended to the north and south. He enclosed the courtyard with a beautiful gate that we just saw. And he added domestic accommodation for the servants. It later became a hospital, and it was also a youth hostel. I actually had somebody on live stream who'd stayed there when it was a youth hostel. Yeah, so there you are. Now, just ahead of us here, this is Mars Work, and it's a bit dark. I wish it was lighter today. But you never know what you're going to get weather-wise. So Mars Work, right, I'm going to stand here. As we're looking at it, we're only seeing kind of half of the facade, half of the front of this. Why is it not posting? That might have gone in twice, sorry people. So that's what it looked like in its heyday, in its glory, okay? So we're just... Those two round turrets that you can see, that's these two here. That's what we're looking at right here. And if you look at the detail I'll come round. You can see there's been niches for statues and all sorts of things. I'm going to come under because we've got a lady without a head here. At least I think it's a lady. Right, I was going to stand here and try zoom in, if it'll let me zoom in. Are we zooming in? So is she playing a musical instrument? Can anybody work that out? I know, can you imagine if they restored it? Absolutely spectacular. It is a musical instrument. A harp. Oh, fantastic. Right, thanks. I love the fact we can zoom in now. But even like the small, like these windows. So this is into the cellars and things. It's not into the actual main accommodation. The main door is, we're coming up to it. But look at the amount of detail that's gone into carving this. So this is all a statement. It's all going, look at me. It was a banjo. Do you know, one day I'm going to come up when the light's good and I'll get a picture and we can work it out. But yeah, so you have all this detail. No expense was spared when they did this. Now, John Erskine, the Earl of Mar, I'm just going to cross over so we can see it from the distance here, was keeper of Stirling Castle, and he began construction in the 1560s. So he's keeper of the castle, and when you look at the palace block of the castle, you kind of get the idea, kind of looked at the palace and thought, you know what, I'm going to have some of that. Now, right up here, this looks like somebody wrapped in a mortcloth, in a shroud. Does anybody know what else that could be? Because to me that's what it looks like. I've tried finding out, but it's not that. I haven't found anything that's detailed enough on the actual outside of this building, and it's such a shame because there's so much detail on it. A torch? Maybe, yeah. Hopefully not a torture device. Well, yeah, that could be, I've put this on the outside of the building, so if anybody messes with me, they know what's coming. Yes. Now, James VI actually stayed here, and the house was repaired for use as a barracks during the 1715 Jacobite Rising. I'm just going to zoom back out again. Right, there's nothing coming. Right, I'm standing right in the middle of the road, but I want to show you these coats of arms. You see them here. Look how detailed that is. Right, I'm going to have to move. I can hear cars coming. It is stunning. It is really. Sorry, get off the road before I get run over. But yeah. Now the facade, as you see it, is all that really remains. And it was a courtyard townhouse with impressive Renaissance architecture, and we can see some of that as we're looking at it, And like I say, it was probably based or kind of copied from the palace of James V. There's gargoyles, there's heraldic panels, and lots of statuettes. I'm just going to show you a little carving, but there's a car coming, so bear with me. They don't mind speeding in Stirling, they do. Right. So here, if we look up here, I pray something is on this. That could be on this lodging, maybe, with, is it with? 2 in the middle there, and I can't read the rest. Aaron sweaters. And then got this beautiful, it's a replica, it's not the original handle, but it gives you an idea. So absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at all the detail on these. If you can afford that, you're making a statement, and it's like, look at me, I'm rich. Right. So here's a nice information panel about it. Now, Mar was a Protestant during the Reformation, governor of the castle during the reign of Mary of Guise. Now, Mary of Guise was Mary Queen of Scots' mother. Oh, right, okay, look. So there's the statue, and we found it. This figure known locally is Jeannie Dark, perhaps Scott's adaptation of Joan of Arc. Oh, okay. So guesswork, but that works for me. I'm happy with that. Oh, what have I missed? Have I missed something? Argyle socks. Oh, sorry. Argyle's a check pattern. That's right. I get you now. Sorry, I was thinking of Aran jumpers, as in the ones with all the cabling and stuff on it. You're right. It's Argyle, yeah. Oh dear. Right. So, he turned against Mary Queen of Scots, the daughter of Mary of Guise, when Lord Darnley was murdered. So this is the Holyrood Church, but what I'm doing is I'm just taking us round to see if we can actually get onto the ruin, because sometimes you can get into a wee bit of it, but it's maybe not, we'll see. Now, Mar was given custody of Mary Queen of Scots' infant son James VI after the assassination of her brother Regent Murray in 1571. He died a year later. Now, James VI and Queen Anne stayed here in 1593. I think I already told you that. They've shut it off. Right, because you could actually go onto it and look out the windows. But I'll just take you across here. Sorry, excuse me. Here we are. Just so you can see, that's just looking down into what's effectively sort of the basement here. So even that, looking at that, you can see how substantial this building was. Yeah, they've got loose masonry, they've got it propped up over here. That's a shame. But anyway. So, we have the Holyrood Church. Right, Holyrood is Holy Cross. I think we discussed that earlier. Oh, and I forgot to mention, sorry, Mars Wark was leased to the council, and it was actually used as a workhouse. This is what happens with big houses. They go out of fashion. People then want the Georgian houses instead of these beautiful detailed monsters, and they abandon them and they get split up and used as other things. So it was a workhouse where the destitute were obviously provided with soup, food and board, but they had to work for it in return for... Hold on a wee second. I pray all lurkers on this lodging with gentle I maybe give their judging. I pray all lookers of this lodging with gentle eye. Thank you for that. Yes, excellent. Thank you. Right, now just turn round to let you see it from here. So you can imagine how big this was. Now, when it became the workhouse, that's when the name kind of corrupted, and it became Mars Wark instead of Mars Lodging. Mars Wark. So you can see Argyle Lodging just there as well. It was damaged during the 1715 uprising. The workhouse moved. It was confiscated during the rebellion from Mar, and yeah, you've got the ruin that it is today. Okay, let me see. Actually, just bear with me, the wind's... Just as I say that, the wind picks up again. I'm just going to keep going, because you get a lovely picture of the castle from up here. Right, because I've risked it, this is when the wind comes out. Oh, brilliant, thank you. Somebody's just put in about the statue. Who's that? Kirsty, thank you. Oh, man. Right. Isn't that beautiful? Try and get it so you're getting a... Right, so here we've got the statues. Heroes of Scottish Presbyterian Reform. Right. Margaret Wilson, who was aged 18, was executed by drowning in the Solway Firth for refusing to renounce her Protestant faith. Now, right, I'm going to attempt to get up these stairs. Taking my life in my hands here because we're at the top of the hill. And there's the wind. Right. And a short that you can take a postcard. And then oh, excuse me while I catch my breath. I'm going to take a wee drink of water. Just have a wee look around. Oh, I can't get my water open. Typical. Zoom in and what? Sorry, can you just pop it in again? I missed it. It's a beautiful view. You're getting a lovely view of the palace there. No, it's too windy. Right. I'm going to have to go down, but I'm just going to do that again in case it was that you were asking for. Right. Funny how the wind just picks back up again, eh? Right, hopefully. Oh, look. So that's the Holyrood Church straight in front of us. It's the second oldest building after the castle in Stirling. It was founded in 1129 during the reign of David I as a parish church for Stirling. Sorry, I'll just show you what this is like. It's very uneven, so bear with while I try and get down here. Right, sorry. What was this? Now, the Church of David I was actually destroyed by the Great Fire. When was it again? The Great Fire of Stirling. I think it was 1405. Quite a lot of the town was burnt, and so was the church. Right, sorry, I'm having to concentrate to get down the steps. I've no depth perception, so stairs that I'm not used to are always fun. Oh, I can just see it now. Where was she last seen? You're all phoning trying to get an ambulance for me. Now, as we're standing looking back, you can see we are quite high. Now, that tower, that's the toll booth. We'll be there in a little while, just to get your bearings as we come round. So you've got the toll booth, which is like the civic centre. You've got the church, and then just peeking through the gap there, you've got Cowan's Hospital. Now we're going into the old kirkyard, so this is the old part. And all the gravestones here are facing east. Yes. So you've got masons' marks, baxter's marks, weaver's marks, all sorts of things, all sorts of symbolism on the stones. Because the older gravestones, if you couldn't read, you could still look at it and tell something about the person buried there. That's a beautiful picture. Oh, sorry, we're talking about, would that be William Wallace, maybe? No, Wallace isn't, he was hanged, drawn and quartered. His limbs were sent separate places around as a warning to others, you know, if you misbehave, this is what happens. The sunset, yeah, they've got lights shining on it, but we're getting a beautiful kind of glow. Well, let me see. Oh, here we go. Right. What is this? PM 1590 TH. Oh no, PM HL, and it looks like 1590. And what I was struggling with was that symbol right there. That's the trade guild symbol. It's the trade symbol. And then you've got the date 15. There's a 5 there, an 8 and a 0, so it's 1580. The one's kind of worn a bit. And you've got the initials. You have a wheat sheaf, and then you have 2 peels. Crossed peels, the spades that they use to put the loaves in and out of the oven. Right. Now, I'm going to try not to linger because I love graveyards and I end up spending too much time in them. Now, shortly after the fire, a grant was made by the Lord Chamberlain of Scotland to have a new church built. The nave, the south apse, the south aisle, what am I saying? The south aisle with rounded Scots pillars and Gothic arches, and the oak roof and the tower were all completed, I think it was 1414 or thereabouts. Come on, Gimbal, stay with me. We were doing so well, but you're getting droopy on me. Let's try and keep it up a bit. There we are. Right, I'm just trying to find a way out. I'm not going to end up slipping on leaves. Oh, look at this one, isn't that gorgeous? Can you see the angel? I think that's Robert Brown, Janet Chalmers, wheat sheafs. There's a wheat sheaf on that, and there's another spade. Died at Edinburgh, April 1860, is that? Yeah, there's some really lovely ones. Right, keep walking. I've got to tell myself to keep going. Now, right. Now, the tradition about the church is that James the IV may have helped masons build the later eastern extension during the 16th century. In 1567, the infant King James VI was crowned here in a Protestant ceremony conducted by John Knox. He was the religious reformer, the driving force behind the religious reformation in Scotland. There are bullet marks on the tower, and they may date from the siege of Stirling Castle by Cromwell's troops in 1651. And because of its close links to the castle and the Stuart monarchs, especially in the 15th, 16th and 17th centuries, it's the only church in the UK, other than Westminster Abbey, that has held a coronation and is still in use as a living church. So there are still services here. I'm just going to divert slightly because I've spotted another gravestone you might like. So we'll go and have a little look at that, and then we'll head back across. Right, so what we have here... Donna, don't worry, you can catch me another time. I don't want you stressing about it. I appreciate it when it's done, but sometimes the app's just a pain. 1698, so you have an hourglass. Now, hourglasses were basically telling you the sands of time have run out. It's a sign of mortality. The initials are TT and IC. It's always the male initials first, then the female. The skull and crossbones, memento mori, remember death. We all die, it's the one thing we can't escape. So it's a really pretty one too. But I'm going to take us this way and try and get out without stopping again, because yeah, I love old graveyards. Right, okay, so just ahead of us, that's Cowan. Gimbal's going in the huff with me. Just ahead, that's Cowan's. So we'll be there in a wee second. Right, let me see if we go this way. And we're back onto the kind of path part. Right. Oh, it's quite slippy here. Oh, look at that one. Not sure what those symbols are. That could be a blacksmith, maybe? Is that an anvil? swordsmith sort of blade and what looks like an anvil with a massive skull and crossbones that's sunk into the ground. Now, Cowan's Hospital. Quite a nice picture, hopefully. There, and then I'll take you down. Now, John Cowan built this in it was built in 1639. He was a baker, he was a guild leader, he was very wealthy when he died, and he left his money for an almshouse or hospital for decayed members of the guilds of Stirling. Baxters, cobblers, cabinet makers, that kind of thing. He was also a commoner, but his family was very, very rich. And the rumour is, or supposedly anyway, the money came from piracy. So, well, we'll see. Now, he was a boy, he used to chase the servant girls, and he would get them into trouble. And in those days, if you got into trouble and you weren't married, you were banished from the town. Your support system was taken away from you, and you were thrown out. The guys never got in any trouble, but anyway. He was known locally as Stainy Breeks. Now, stain as in dirt or stain as in stone. We're not quite sure. So yeah, right, I'm going to take us down. I was just waiting for those people to move on a wee bit. I want to interrupt them. Right, let's get down here. Yeah, there's a cafe inside. Yeah, I'm just going to get us down there once I get down these steps. Excuse me. I love the lights. These lights are gorgeous. Now, he was fined for his dalliances with the other guild members' servants. Now, the reverse 4 on the lampposts is a symbol of the guilds. And after 3 years of careful reconstruction, Cowan's Hospital was reopened. There's a cafe, and it's open Thursday to Sunday, 10 till 4. So if we look up here, you see that 4? So that's a symbol of the guilds. Okay, and then I'll just let you look up and we can see the man himself. And the signal's just dropped right down. Hopefully you're still seeing things. Sorry, the signal's just dropped completely. You're okay though? Okay, so I'll just come back. Right, now if I've missed any questions, please remember to ask them at the end because there's a lot going on, plus I'm trying to come down wet, slippy stairs whilst holding a gimbal and talking. I'm not designed for that. Now it's estimated in 1637 Cowan's Hospital Trust is Scotland's second oldest surviving charitable trust, and it originally supported 12 members. There's an inscription on the outside here, I'll just let you have a little look. This hospital was erected and largely provided by John Cowan, Dean of Guilds, for the entertainment of decayed guild breathers. John, 1639, Cowan. I was hungry and you gave me meat. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. Naked and ye clothed me. I was sick and ye visited me. Okay, right, so as we turn round, sorry that light's really bright down there so I'm trying to keep you up the way this time. As we look at the tower, okay, next to the window, I'm going to zoom in, and again, do you see what looks like pock marks? Little holes, that's the bullet holes that they think happened when Cromwell's troops were here in 1651. Right, now I'm just going to... Oh, where did the time go? Sorry, I've just realised the time. I put an extra 15 minutes on because I thought, I need it, and here we are. Right, so, sorry, I'm just going to show you quickly. We have some cannon down here, and we've got beautiful detail on the windows. Okay. Step out to get a better view of it. So even on the side of the building you've got these beautiful windows, and there's a lovely seating area just outside here. And then you've the bowling green, but you also have this beautiful little garden with the bird bath. And what we're looking at there, that's actually the prison. Sorry, I've still got quite a bit to go. That's what. If you have to leave, I'm really sorry. I totally understand, but I'm going to keep going till we get to the end. So yeah, the light on the Holyrood is lovely. Right, so just down the hill we actually have a good view of the Tron again. Sorry, the toll booth. So we'll see that as we come round. And you can still visit the Holyrood. It doesn't welcome visitors as well as have services. So if you are in Stirling, it is worth trying to pop in. And I've shown you it's not far from the castle at all. Now, just ahead of us is the boys' club, and it was built on the Butter Market. So it's kind of at the junction just ahead of us here of John Street and Jail Wynd. Now, on the 21st of November 1927, the Town Council granted a building warrant for the construction of a boys' club on the site of the old Butter and Poultry Market. So that little building on its own, with no lights on, that's the building I'm talking about. Now, it was founded for boys who were not members of the Scouts or the Boys Brigade. However, both of those groups actually helped organise activities for the members of the club. And it was founded by Major Frederick Morris Crum. So this is a beautiful old building as well. And as you look at it there, you can see that's a turnpike staircase. So the door opens straight onto the turnpike, and that's defensive. And that's showing you it's an old building. It's Auchenbowie's house. So just here you can see you've got the turnpike stair projecting into the street and the Crowstep Gables. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, well, I'm going to be going all over the place this year. I've got some tours up already when I know I'm going to be away from Edinburgh. So just if you follow me, you'll be able to see when I'm doing things and where. Right, now this is quite dark. So this is the boys' club. You can see over the door, 1929. But look at the inscription above the window here. This is my favourite, well, one of my favourites. Keep smiling. I love it. Keep smiling. Now, the one over the door, it's something that we should all learn as well. Play the game. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to. And then we've got this one here. And this is something that should be the motto of HeyGo, because it's a great place until something happens in the chat. Quarrelling is taboo. That might just appeal to my sense of humour, I don't know. But it always gives me a giggle when I see it. Right. Now, I'm just going to quickly show you around. That is the Old Town Jail. Okay. There's a visitor centre and things in here. What we're looking at here from this corner down is the toll booth. So you can see the clock tower up here. Now, the toll booth dates from 1473. It's a Category A listed building. Pre-1703, an earlier toll booth was 2 stories. So you can see you've got, just at the end there, you've got the 2 stories high, kind of giving you the idea of it. And you can still see part of that there. 1703, Duncan Kerr of Falkirk was commissioned to build a new clock, to make a new clock for the steeple. And the current form was built by Sir William Burke, 1703 to 1705. Then it was extended, so we've got the extension here, and this was extended in 1785 with the 3 bays, so you can see the 3 bays window there, to the eastward. Was it Gideon Gray that did the work? I think it was Gideon Gray. So you have a prison block, a courthouse. It was designed by Richard Crichton, and it was completed, the building work here had been completed by 1811. Now, The toll booth here, why do I know the name Gideon Gray? I honestly don't know, but it's ringing a bell to me, so I might have actually got it wrong. It might be somebody else Gray. I could be making it up. Now, the prison inspector's report of 1844, I'm going very slowly because it's very slippy and wet. 1844 was, this is it, there has been no jail, to my knowledge, in which such a fearful state of things has existed as has been the case in the prison of Stirling. You hear the bells? The bells are a wee bit early. Now, following the report, the prison was moved from the toll booth to the new Stirling jail on John Street. So it moved from here to across there. It didn't go very far. Thinking of Dorian Gray. Yes, that's probably what I'm... Yeah. Right, now, I think it's too dark to see it because there's a light just where I wanted to show you. But across the road here, the building with the big bright light on the outside of it, that's Norrie's house. At the very, very top of the building, right, let me see. I'll come round here. Just show you the entrance. There's some of the detail as we look up as well to the clock. Right, now, let me see. Norrie's house is very thin. You can see it was a thin strip of land. It's 3 windows wide. It goes up. Now, 5 stories in the end when we... Now, I don't know if you can see it because that light is so bright, but right at the very top, there's a man's head wearing a wig looking down at us. That's Norrie. Yes. Now, John Norrie was a lawyer and town clerk, and he built this in 1671, I think it was. Yeah, the site had actually belonged to his wife's family, his wife's parents, so he was lucky, and it had its own well, so it had its own water supply. It's 4 stories with an attic, so and 3 bays wide. So yeah, 4 stories plus the attic makes 5. Right. Now this is the Market Cross, or the Market Cross. Now the unicorn at the top, for some reason locally it's known as the Puggy, or Puggy. It's a wee shame. Very, very cute. Now it has a unicorn at the top because it's telling us it's a royal borough. Anywhere you find a unicorn at the top of the Market Cross, you're in a royal borough. So it's very important. Whatever's at the top of the Market Cross is telling a story. Who lived there, what was carried out there. Okay? And it's quite a plain one. You've got the unicorn, then you've got the shaft, and then at the bottom you have these 3 steps so that somebody can stand at the top of them above the crowd and read out any news that has to be given out to the town at the time. Now here we've got the plaque for the Market Cross. Oh, sorry. Okay, so that's showing you that one. I didn't see one for Norrie's house. Right, so, what am I thinking? I think we've gone right over time, so I'm going to stop here for today, and next time I'll try and keep a better control of my timing, even though this was a 45-minute tour and I added 15 minutes to make it longer. Oh, come on, people, you know me by now. I'm terrible. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know it was wet and the pictures are a bit dull, but Stirling's beautiful, and if you get the chance to come, you really, spend some time here just having a look around. I am going to put on a Stirling darker side tour. What I am probably going to do with that one, though, is pre-record it and play it at home, so that I'm not having to wander about in the dark in the graveyards and things. It's just a safety thing, plus for me to get home from here it's about an hour. So just to Oh, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. I really am. Thank you, everybody. Oh, Dustin, I saw you. It moves that fast. I never see people. Thank you, everyone that's left a tip. I really do appreciate it. Those that haven't been able to tip, don't worry about it. If you're following me, I thank you for that as well. And my sponsors, I saw a couple of you on. Thank you for sticking with me earlier. Right, thank you, everybody. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Right, bye.